Okay, folks, here we are, game week 222. So let's dive right in. There's a whole bunch. I've got some recommendations on players I'm quite I'm pleased with. Well, I guess we'll see. But let's look at last weekend. So nothing too surprising. I mean, just again, you need 320, 330 points in order to get any card of any value. And you probably need about 370 or so to get a card that you're actually going to be happy with. So that's pretty static. We're seeing that in these big game weeks. That's what you really need to shoot for. Down in limited, it's a little lower. Maybe you need 300 points or so. But again, these are all starting to creep up. And you really have to get some pretty good lineups in order to compete at winning a card. Special weekly, one just kind of thing I noticed last week was this number doubled within the final day. So there was only 600 people entered, and then it went up to 1,200. And I'm curious as to whether people are kind of scrambling last minute trying to grab a player to fit into that lineup and things like that. I've certainly done that in the summer. It didn't serve me very well, frankly, but people do that, I'd imagine. And so just kind of, a word of caution with when you see the percentages for this week going forward, that certainly the special weekly could increase considerably. It's only for players over 32, and those players tend to be a little on the cheaper side to acquire. So I could see, especially if we see about a 10% payout margin right now, this could jump up to more like 600-700 people entered or more. So other than that, nothing too surprising here. Nothing jumps out at me. This is what we expect. America's is a little light. And really light on the amount of prizes. And they're definitely, MLS is winding down. It's in a kind of a bracket style playoff, so there's only a handful of teams left. But I thought we'd maybe see just a little bit more. I thought they'd maybe be even trying to kind of like flush out the remaining MLS cards before, that really winds down. Because, of course, they signed up the entire league. So there was a ton of cards in the market. Nothing too surprising here as well. You can have a look, pause it, and take a look, but it's pretty even across the board. Now on to players. So how did I do last week? So, or this midweek, I went all in on Shakhtar's, some of these guys that I felt were young, kind of in their prime or emerging, young talents that are worth a lot in transfer market, and thus were really undervalued in Sorare. And they're undervalued because they don't cover the Ukrainian league. So you actually can't use them very often. And but you can use them during Champions League. And there were 2 matches left. There's the one yesterday against Inter, and then one more in 2 weeks. And I thought, well, that's kind of nice to have a little bit of playability there, but then also to hang on to some of these guys. Maybe there's a transfer in the winter here. I know Manor Solomon in particular is being scouted by a couple of clubs in the Premier League. And so you could have this nice investment, or you just hang on to them, and even further down the road into next season and whatnot, they still are able to pay back because they were relatively cheap investments considering the level of talent that they apparently are. Maybe it didn't look so much that way yesterday. They lost 2-0 to Inter, and didn't really have a lot of great scores here. I mean, they didn't kill you with these scores, but not what you were after. Macon did okay for you, and Solomon, we'll see. But sorry about that. I don't think maybe I reached too much in my trying to find something that others weren't looking at. So on that note, let's move ahead to this week. And again, in my attempts to look where others aren't necessarily looking, one of the things I tried to find was, well, which teams have actually like 5 matches in a row? Because that's kind of rare, that little pocket. And of course, we tend to buy and sell based on that L5 score. So of course, I ended up finding there's a number of clubs that play literally 5 matches, 5 game weeks in a row. So I'm talking about weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend. And of those, 2 of them actually have favorable schedules across all 5, where they'd be deemed either the favorite or at least sort of on par with the matchups. They're not sort of behind anyone. And so those are who I'm highlighting right now, because first off, you basically you can buy them, you can play them for 5 straight weeks. And on, of course, but second of all, because they're in some nice matchups throughout that, and mostly positive or all positive matchups, their L5 score should be decent by the end of it, and maybe you can flip them if you're looking at that kind of short-term play. So let's look at the first one, Napoli. So Napoli are top of the table, so everyone's under them. They're playing, if I'm not mistaken, they go Lazio, they play Empoli and Sassuolo, and Atalanta. So Atalanta and Lazio will be a bit tougher matchups, but they'll still be favored, and these ones certainly down here. And then their fourth one is against Leicester in Europa. So now I think this is live right now, and it looks like Leicester's winning. So they'll be top of the table. As you can see, Napoli needs to win to advance. So they're going to put their best players out and things like that. So this will be an interesting one for them. Not an easy one, but should be good. So the big thing for me that I saw is Victor Osimhen got injured, like an eye injury, I guess. It's covering his eye. That's the extent of my medical analysis. He's out for 3 months, apparently. So who's going to take his spot? Well, yesterday, this guy, Andrea Petagna, who has not great scores. I mean, let's look at this quickly. You really don't want any part of this when you first look at it. Over here, last season, okay, not bad. But what we saw is that he actually played the 90. He took the spot of Osimhen and did really well, 68 points. So this might be an opportunity to buy in on him. He's only available in the rare. We are late. I'm late on this for sure. As you can see, it's already starting to spike up over the last few days. It already did. So I don't think you're getting a massive deal by any stretch. But hey, if he's going to take that spot for 3 months, he's a 26-year-old. He should be getting some pretty decent scores for top of the table club like Napoli. He's going to be able to grow his his stature, his value, and things like that. And this might just be the start of the curve, to be honest. So if you can invest at this level, I'd say go for it. I think there's something here. If it's not him, I wonder if it's Matteo Politano. So I'd actually scouted this guy in the summer. I was pretty high on him, thought he would get a fair bit of playing time. And he's pretty steady. Like, look at these numbers. I mean, it's a lot of kind of highs and lows. And you don't mind that with a forward, because when you win, you want to win a good card. You want to move up the standings and stuff. So you need 80s and 70s and things like that. With forwards, you don't really want to walk away with 50s and 55s the whole time. So I quite like this. He's had some DNPs here. I didn't see that he was injured or anything like that. But he's if you're kind of looking at somebody that you take a flyer on and maybe hasn't been peaking in price yet. As you can see, his is kind of, it rose here. It started to kind of come down. It's kind of come down a little more. So at its peak, it was about a 0.2. And now we're down to about 0.13. So that's kind of a nice dip that you could buy into if you're kind of speculating, if you will. The next club for me with a really nice schedule is Lyon. So they play, let's see how my memory is here. They play Lille, I know. They play Reims, Bordeaux. They play Montpellier. And I guess I have to go back. It's another one kind of in and around that grouping. This is what they're doing just now, actually. Montpellier, Reims, Bordeaux. Oh, right, Rangers. So I believe Rangers are bottom of the table in that in the Europa League group, and Lyon are they might be second, and so they need to win that. But definitely they'll be favored in that matchup as well. So some nice matchups. The problem with Lyon is, I mean, most of their players are well priced, if not some are overpriced. It's kind of difficult to buy into them. These are obviously world-class players that people already know well and are investing in. But there's one that I'm kind of curious about here, and that's Damien Da Silva. So he transferred over in the summer, thought he could get a starting role as a center back, and then they brought in Jerome Boateng, and he's been basically playing at center back in that spot the whole time. Now, first off, Boateng's no spring chicken either, so maybe he needs some rest. You're starting to enter some of that. Maybe there's an injury coming up. Who knows? I know Leo Dubois, who's more the right back. He's injured and potentially out for the year. Now, Da Silva doesn't play right back, but I mean, maybe there's some shifting around that just opens up some spots. What we're seeing with him here is that he is playing Europa. So like right now, I mean, I think this match is currently happening while I'm filming this. So he's doing quite well, not quite well, but he's doing okay for a match. It's kind of midway. It's not quite completed yet. So, and he did okay in the previous Europa as well. So just, I mean, somebody that maybe, I mean, what I see here is just like, I mean, just being like given away for $8 here in the limited side of things. And in the rare, I mean, it's not cheap, I suppose, but really like to get a player on Lyon that may start to get some more playing time for this kind of money, basically what the Ethereum, but a little more than the Ethereum bonus. And what I will say is like, that's there's only 3 of his cards out right now, so he's actually currently on sale. So he's being minted. So, we're seeing, okay, here's one that ends in 2 days. So you might be able to just get a really great deal just by jumping in on some of these bids, some of these auctions, and going for it. I don't think it'd be too much of a risk to try that one. The third one for me is Corinthians. Now, you might be saying, well, I mean, their league's winding down, and for the last couple of weeks, I've been highlighting some leagues that are winding down, and I think this is one of them as well, where they actually have 3 matches in a row, and it's like weekend, midweek, weekend. So you get that kind of 3 in a row. And again, their prices are really dropping right now because of that. People are getting out of them, and they're all favorable matches that they have. I forget specifically, but it's everyone under the table, like below the table for them. They really need to keep going to hold this, their Libertadores group stage and all of that. So they've still got plenty to play for. As you can see, it's pretty tight where they're sitting in 4th place here. So they'll be putting their best players out. Maybe the best of which is Roger Guedes, 25-year-old forward. Really, I mean, look at these numbers here. Here, we'll just quickly jump. He's pricey, no doubt. He recently spoke about wanting to play in Europe, or it came out in an interview or something. So, I mean, he could be definitely a transfer target this winter, let alone in the summer. He puts up some really nice numbers, and really quite affordable on the limited side, certainly pricey on the rare side, no doubt. But if we go back to the price graph, like what I really like, I mean, if you're a stock guy, this has started to drop, kind of bounced up a little, and now starting to come down again. So quite like that, but especially on the limited. This is a guy that you could just buy for dirt cheap. I mean, look at this ski hill. I mean, you could buy him for dirt cheap and just hold him for next season. Their season starts up in April again. May seem like a long time, but really to grab a card like this, to grab a player of this caliber. And then, like I said, if he gets transferred to Europe, then his value probably increases considerably. So this is really nice. And again, you get 3 straight weeks of utility out of him. Gabriel is another one for me. Again, just what I like here, particularly, again, focusing on the limited, is like how comparable, or look at limited price compared to rare. I mean, this is probably properly priced. I mean, what's interesting is a month ago, it was so much cheaper 2 weeks ago. And then now some people are trying to overhype him because he's played well of late. So first off, his number will probably start to go down. You might be able to put an offer out there that's half this or 2/3 this and get a decent deal if you really want. But certainly at the limited, I mean, this is just like giving away a player that's actually been playing fantastic of late, should continue to, kind of right in his prime and everything. And again, like getting just being able to win. I mean, if you put $23 at 0.005, get a card, and then you win a card, you win a tournament in limited, and that card you could flip for much more than that, then that's a fantastic investment. So who cares if this drops even lower over the next 3 or 4 months? It's so low to begin with. Gill's another one as well. He's a bit older though, but like, again, just being given away for $10 here. And in the rare, even lower. I mean, look how much it's dropped here. And what I think, I mean, see, it started to peak and now it's just falling right off. If you can get that card, I mean, that's basically the Ethereum bonus. So if he just helps you win the Ethereum bonus for one of these weeks, you basically just earned your, what you bought him for. Again, if you can get this 3-day average, I suppose right now it's a bit higher, but he might help you win all 3 weeks if he's putting up decent numbers like this. So I think, look at this, pretty steady guy. And can definitely hit on a few. And finally, Casio is the keeper, and it's always hard to find bargain keepers. This is like a reasonable price, I suppose. This is maybe a bit of a nicer price, but at the limited level, you tend to pay about 0.04, 0.05 and up for sort of informed keepers. But I guess what I like here is that the rare seems relatively flat. So you might be able to start to see a dip, or you might be able to make some offers where you get a bit of a discount. And then we're seeing limited starting to kind of crash. For a keeper, I think that's always the time when you should be buying, because they're always going to be expensive. So it is what it is. There you go. best of luck to you. I believe in this group. I think that they'll do better than certainly Shakhtar folks did, but I guess we'll see. That's the fun of it. Talk soon. All the best.